Today I'm launching a new series of videos called Question Everything. It's the start of a brand new year, and that's a great time to take a hard look at all of the things we do in the wine and spirits industry and question them. You know, we've done a lot of the same things for a very long time. Our industry hasn't really innovated a lot, especially on the sales front. So this series of videos is going to cover one topic at a time. We're going to shake that topic really hard, look at it from a lot of different angles, and just question the wisdom of it. Is there a better way to do it? Is there a better way to spend the money and the time? That's what this series is all about. And our first video in this series is all about in-store tastings, in-store demos. So stay tuned. Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Ben Salisbury. Our consulting agency helps wineries and craft distilleries improve their sales strategy and sales process. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Feel free to share it and don't forget to subscribe. So the first standard industry practice that I want to question, and question hard, are in-store demos, in-store tastings. Now, I know I'm going to catch a lot of heat for merely suggesting that there could be something wrong with this, but I want you to just bear with me for a little bit, because what we're going to question is the wisdom of doing this versus other things you could do with your time and money. We're going to question what is the value of these things and really get a good handle on that, because I think that they're overvalued. I think people place a higher value on them than there actually is. And not everybody takes time to look at it empirically, but we're going to very briefly in this video. And the last thing is just considering the return on investment of time and money. And so I've got I'm going to make a case for you in a very short period of time. I want you to stay with me. I've got my reasons why I'd like to question this, and I want to suggest some alternative ways. Now, I am not saying that you should not do in-store demos, not do in-store tasting. I am not saying that. I just want you to question it. And if you find that the things I bring forth have value, you might consider slowly but surely swapping out some of the time and tasting of demos and employ some of these new, more modern, perhaps more valuable ways to build distribution, build loyalty, build a fan base. So stay with me. So let's first talk about why people love doing store demos, why brand owners and salespeople love doing in-store demos. There's something in our brain that says if we can get our customer to taste this product, they're going to love it, they're going to buy it, and they're going to come back for more. The problem is, in practice, this is not nearly close to what actually happens. It feels like the right thing to do. I mean, my gosh, you're standing right there in the store. You've got the product. There's the customer. You know if they taste it, they're going to like it. But, you know, this is really it's not really how it works. The problem we've got is we think that it works. We want it to work. We want it to work so badly. But we're also feeling like we're doing something. There's so many things about building brands that you're quite detached from the customer. Well, here's a situation where you're not detached at all. You're standing right in front of them. So how could this possibly be a bad thing? That is why we keep doing it, why we pour money into it. The other reason we do it is it's often required by retailers, and distributors encourage it too. Because it is the one tangible thing you can do. You can actually get up in the morning, drive to one of these demos, and stand in front of customers tasting your product. That's why people keep doing it and doing it and doing it. But I submit to you that it's not as valuable as you think. It's not as effective as you think at building new fan base. So just indulge me for a few minutes while I talk about why I don't think this is the most effective way to build a loyal following for your brand. First of all, sales made in this way are highly transactional. They're very focused on the product. And you're working with a cold audience. This is not, if you talk to marketing experts, this is not the way to build a brand. You know, transactional business isn't very sticky. And if you've ever done a lot of demos, I know you have had this experience. People say they want to purchase a bottle of whatever it is you're tasting. They put it in their cart, and somewhere between your demo booth and that cash register, they take it out of the cart and stick it on a shelf somewhere. This happens all the time on all types of products, because the sale wasn't really made in a relationship way. It was made in a transactional way. The best way to build loyal fans that buy your product over and over and tell their friends about it is to build a relationship with them. And you cannot do that standing at a tasting demo. Yes, you get trial. Yes, you get some impulse purchases. But impulse purchases are not sticky. And the percentage of people that come back and buy again is actually quite low. Now, I know it's hard for you to measure that and to monitor that, but talk to a marketing expert. Talk to somebody who's trained in the best practices of consumer product marketing, and they will tell you that this is a very sticky thing. And wine is a different kind of product than, say, toilet paper or paper towels that are stacked at the end aisle of a grocery store, where people are going to be using those things anyway. Hey, they're on sale, let's load up. This is not the same kind of a thing. People are very particular about their beverage of choice, and you can't necessarily build a relationship with them on just a couple of transactions at the booth. Another thing about this is that this audience is very cold. They're not really well qualified. And you, as the demo person, have the potential to make it worse by calling people over to your booth like a hawker. Hey, you want to try some Chardonnay? Hey, you want to try some vodka? All you're doing is attracting an audience that isn't very cold. You'd be better off letting people self-qualify. Look over at your booth and say, oh, they're tasting single malt. I would love to go try that. This is not a cold audience. This is a slightly warmer audience. But this is marketing. This is how you must look at brand building. Transactional sales that don't stick, working with a cold audience, these things are not as effective as nurturing a relationship over time, and store demos just are not very good at that. In a minute, I'm going to talk about what is good at that. The other problem I have with this transactional way of doing business is it's very, very focused on the product. And again, the demo person can make this worse by spitting out attributes of the product while the customer's standing there tasting it. Let them experience the product for themselves. Don't talk over the top of them. Let them experience it for themselves. But even if you do all those things right, focusing on the product instead of the relationship, or focusing on the product instead of the story, this is going to result in quick impulse purchases that do not stick and do not repeat. The second problem I have with in-store tasting demos, and again, I'm not suggesting you don't ever do these. I'm suggesting you question it, get a calculator out, start really looking hard at the ROI, and ask yourself, is there a better way we could spend this money to acquire more customers, more engaged customers? But the second problem I have here is it's not scalable. It is 2020. You have to be able to scale whatever you do. This idea that you need to be physically present to do something, you've got to let go of this. And man, the wine and spirits business has got this problem in spades. We love to, get on a plane, get in front of a customer, bring our samples, talk about the product. There is some value in that, but it's become so competitive. If you don't have a large portion of your brand building strategy focused on things that are scalable, you're going to overpay for new distribution. You're going to overpay for customers. So part of why this is not scalable is it requires the physical presence of a tasting person and a booth and the physical presence of customers walking in. You need to really take a look at the customer acquisition cost of doing demos. And let me explain. Let's say, and I'm using very conservative numbers here on the cost side and very generous numbers here on the sales side, but let's say it costs you $200 to $300 to do a store demo. That includes your time, the cost of anyone that you're paying to do the demo, and your samples. But let's just call it $200, okay, to do a 2 or 3 hour tasting demo. And let's say you sell, in the course of that demo, 36 bottles of your product, which I think most people would consider is a great tally of new sales from a store demo. That means your customer acquisition cost is $5.55 per bottle, or $66 a case to sell this product. Now you have to ask yourself, of those 36 bottles that you sold, how many of them are going to be repeat purchases? And when you look at how the product was sold to them, it's very unlikely they're going to repeat the purchase. When it comes to wine and spirits, we're talking about a very crowded category. People cannot remember or recall brands, even if they, save the bottle or take a picture of the bottle. It's still a very low probability thing that people are going to repeat. And if you sold them the product by any kind of a high pressure technique, then you really just made it worse. You're not only are you spending a lot of money to acquire each customer, but you've just pushed down the probability that they're going to repurchase because their intent was low. You really have to look at intent. But back to the subject at hand, which is this is not scalable. And in a minute, I'm going to talk about ways that you can spend the same amount of money that are infinitely scalable. And the way you acquire customers is much stickier because of the purchase intent. Now, before I talk about alternatives, better ways to spend money and scale things and have a lower customer acquisition cost, I do want to point out there are some circumstances where demos are a great idea. For example, a brand new product, something that no one has ever seen. Demos are great for this because there is some interest, there is some intent. It's never been seen before. And any consumer product guru will tell you that new news drives a lot of purchase intent. So if you've got a brand new product that's never seen the light of day, it's a great thing to do. And I will tell you, demoing spirits is a much higher probability of selling success than wine because wine is such a crowded category. It requires a certain amount of expertise and knowledge for people to appreciate it. Man, selling wine that no one's ever heard of is extremely low probability of repeat purchase. It feels like the right thing to do, like I said in my intro, but it often is not. Another thing to do with demos is have them be highly interactive. I love to see demo people doing mixology right there at the demo, making a drink right there, showing people how to assemble the drink, and then pouring a little sample for everyone. This is gold. This is fantastic stuff. And when you're looking at demo companies, you should consider this highly interactive way of demoing the product. Another thing is, I know this is going to offend a lot of people, but sweeter products that taste delicious right then and there on the spot, tend to sell much better than things that are like a dry red wine or a dry white wine. For all we know, somebody just had a donut on the way into the store, and they're not going to think very highly of the product. So some things lend themselves well to sampling, and other things do not. If you have a product that is not new or doesn't lend itself to sampling, there's a much, much better way to get new sales and new distribution, which is what I'm going to talk about next. Thanks for sticking with me. If you're still watching the video, I'm happy that you hung in there. And by the way, don't forget to click like if you found some value in this video. So let's talk about some alternatives, some better ways to spend the money to get more return on your investment. Well, my favorite way is this deadly combination of Facebook lead ads combined with email marketing. See, what I'm interested is in a high level of intent and making contact with people that I can nurture over time. So also Facebook lead ads allow you to hook people with a story, to engage them on an emotional level with your brand and the people behind the brand and the place behind the brand. And you have a lot more control over the messaging here than you do in an in-store demo. And you can really plan out your messaging. You can test your messaging. Then you can test your audiences. And now there's a lot to this, but just hang in there with me. This is something you should be doing in 2020. This is something all brand owners should be doing. It's not, yes, there's a small learning curve, but it's not so insurmountable that you can't learn it and learn it fast. So what you do is you run a Facebook lead ad, which has a small form. When people click learn more, it's pre-populated with their information, like their name and their email address. They just click submit form. You have to kind of give them a reason, like, join our email list, be the first to know about new products, be the first to know about product launches and limited editions products, etc. I'm sure you'll come up with some good reasons for people to be on your list. And don't be thinking that email is dead or nobody wants email. That is just, I don't have time to get into that in this video, but let me just tell you that's not true. Email marketing is one of the best ways to sell a complicated consumer product like wine or spirits in a very crowded category. So once they opt in and give you their email address, and it's the equivalent of saying, I'm interested in your brand, I'd like to be on your email list, I'd like to receive your content, I'd like to learn more about you. Now this has a much higher purchase intent. Once you receive those emails, you put them into either some kind of a drip campaign like a monthly newsletter, or even better, an automated series of emails where you nurture the leads along a journey, slowly, surely, thoughtfully, where you're giving information, giving education, because consumers love to be educated about products in general. So Facebook lead ads combined with email marketing, you need two things. You need some expertise on how to create Facebook lead ads, and you need some expertise in email marketing. Now, I have a couple of videos. There's one video I have about how to generate your own demand in the marketplace. I'll put a link in the description. You should check that out. Also, if you're interested in going down this road, I have two online courses. One is called Getting Started with Facebook Advertising. This will make sure you've got your Facebook page set up properly to do real advertising. And I'm not talking about boosting posts here. I'm talking about real Facebook ads. And Facebook lead ads are a very specific type of Facebook ad. And then the other course is Leveraging Facebook Lead Ads. I'll put a link in the description to both of these courses. I encourage you to take them. They're not very expensive at all. And if you don't like it, if you find no value in it, you let me know. I'll give you your money back. How's that? So this idea of being able to collect hundreds of consumer email addresses and then nurture those people in email marketing, this is a much better return on investment. So the same $200 that you could have spent on a demo that cost you $66 a case, that same amount of money, I could show you how to generate 100, 120 well-qualified consumer emails that you can then nurture over time and sell far more product. And you know what the best thing is? Facebook lead ads also work for the trade, because one by the glass placement in a busy restaurant, or one cocktail on the menu of a busy restaurant, is going to be worth far more cases of product than your day in the store demo. And you're going to multiply the exposure of your product in that context. So I hope this is you found some value in this. I know it's a lot to take in, especially if you're one of those people who just dyed-in-the-wool firm believer in demos are the best, and there's how dare anyone question it. That's what I'm trying to help you do here, is just begin to question this and seek out more information about better ways to spend that money. Because when it's super competitive like it is right now, you can't afford to be doing what everyone else is doing. You've got to take your game to the next level. Thanks for watching. Feel free to share this if you found value. Thanks.